It was the night of October 31st. The streets of the small university town of Brookdale, Ohio, were filled with laughter, costumes, and flashing lights. The cold wind made dry leaves dance, and every corner seemed to exhale the spirit of Halloween. On the university campus, masked students ran past, cups in hands and loud music echoing between buildings. It was the most anticipated night of the year, and for many, the most liberating. But no one imagined it would also be the most terrifying. My name is Ivan Carrillo, and I was just another student trying to blend into the crowd. I never liked these parties, but my friends insisted so much that I ended up giving in. "Relax, Ivan. Today is just fun, man," they said, laughing. The main gymnasium had been transformed into a movie scene. Strobe lights, artificial smoke, illuminated pumpkins, and people dressed as demons, witches, and the undead. On the outside, it was just a party. But inside, something bothered me deeply. Since childhood, I was raised in a Christian family. My mother always said with a firm voice, "Son, evil doesn't come with horns, it comes disguised as a party." I used to laugh at those words, thinking it was exaggeration. But that night, every memory of her seemed to scream inside my mind. While everyone danced and laughed, a small group of students was outside the gymnasium, praying. They held Bibles and sang softly, inviting whoever wanted to an outdoor service. I watched them through the window and something in my heart tightened. But soon I heard laughter. "Look there, the fanatics as always," someone shouted. Another added, "Bring the Bible to dance with us." In seconds, the mockery spread. The laughter grew louder, and the atmosphere began to change. It was then that Raul, the student council leader, climbed onto one of the tables, raised a cup and shouted, "Everyone, let's do something symbolic. Tonight is Liberation Night. How about burning everything that represents fear and repression?" The idea drew applause and laughter, but when someone responded, "Does that include the Bible?" the silence inside me became deafening. I felt my stomach turn. Some thought it would be funny. Others began collecting old books from the ancient library, among them several Bibles donated by a local church. "This is madness," I murmured. I tried to stop it, but my voice was lost in the party's noise. "Relax, Ivan," said Raul, patting my shoulder. "It's just a joke." But it didn't seem like a joke. It was as if something invisible was about to be provoked. The group gathered in the courtyard and began piling up books, laughing, recording videos, encouraging each other. Raul raised a Bible in the air and shouted, "If this book has power, let it defend itself." The applause exploded, and the music's sound seemed to vibrate along. But at that instant I knew that night wouldn't end in laughter. Something sacred was being challenged. The fire hadn't even been lit yet, but you could already feel the heavy air, almost dense, as if heaven itself was watching. And if you had been there, you would have felt the same. Because when man challenges the divine, something always responds. The crowd gathered in the center of the courtyard, illuminated only by the trembling lights of pumpkin lanterns. The sound of laughter now mixed with the crackling of twigs that Raul and the others threw into the small bonfire beginning to form. The smell of alcohol, smoke, and burning paper invaded the air, creating a dense, almost suffocating atmosphere. A group of students, filming everything, shouted words of provocation, encouraging Raul to continue. "Come on, show us this book is sacred," one of them mocked. Raul raised the Bible with a sarcastic smile and said in a challenging tone, "If God is real, let him stop me." And he threw the book into the flames. The dry sound of pages touching fire echoed like an affront, and for an instant everything seemed to stop. The fire began timid, flickering like a candle, but in a few seconds grew strangely, almost alive. The flames danced with abnormal intensity, even without wind. Shadows moved on walls, forming figures that seemed to watch in silence. I took a step back, heart racing, trying to understand what was happening. That's when I noticed a young woman kneeling a few meters away. Lydia, a nursing student. Her hands trembled. Teary eyes reflected the fire. She prayed in a low voice, so soft it almost blended with the sound of flames. "Lord, have mercy on them. They don't know what they're doing." Her words cut through the noise, hitting something inside me. Suddenly, A loud crack interrupted the students' laughter. The flames rose even higher, spinning as if they had received a blast of invisible air. Dry leaves on the ground began to swirl, and an icy breeze swept the courtyard. Cell phones fell and voices, before euphoric, fell silent. Raoul tried to laugh, but his voice failed. "It's just the wind," he shouted, trying to seem confident. But no one responded. Everyone stared fixedly at the bonfire, where something unusual was happening. The Bibles burned, but didn't consume. The edges twisted, but the pages remained there, glowing in a soft golden tone. Silence spread like a curtain. Even the gymnasium's music stopped without anyone touching anything. The wind became irregular, sometimes blowing strong, lifting ashes, sometimes ceasing suddenly, leaving the air heavy, almost motionless. Lydia approached the fire, still praying. "Lord, show your glory in this place." Her words echoed through the courtyard, and at that instant, an intense light, white and warm, crossed the air for just a second, illuminating everything around. People recoiled frightened, some fell to their knees. I didn't know whether to cry or run, but one certainty took hold of me. That wasn't coincidence, it was answer. Something sacred had descended on that campus. And there, among ashes, fear, and silence, we all realized the night of fun was over. The supernatural had just begun. The university courtyard was immersed in a silence that seemed to breathe. The bonfire burned in the center, casting golden reflections on the confused faces of students. Wind blew in short gusts, as if it had its own will. Lydia remained on her knees, hands raised, face illuminated by flames dancing inexplicably. With each word of her prayer, the air seemed to move as if something invisible responded. "Lord, forgive us. Don't allow them to mock your name." Her voice was soft, but there was authority in it, a force that broke fear and penetrated even the hardest hearts. Raoul took a few steps back, trying to laugh. "Enough of this act," he shouted, but his own voice sounded different, trembling, hoarse, as if sound refused to come out. No one responded. Even those who before mocked now kept their gaze fixed on the fire. I watched, paralyzed. I felt a shiver run down my spine, a cold that didn't come from wind, but from something much deeper. It was at this instant the sky began to change. The clouds, before scattered, suddenly gathered, covering the moon. The air became heavy, and temperature dropped. It was as if the environment itself was being taken by an invisible presence. The sound of speakers failed. The gymnasium lights began to flicker, then went out. The only illumination now came from flames, which seemed to gain life of their own. Lydia opened her eyes, staring at the darkened sky, and whispered, "He is here." Her words crossed the courtyard like a whisper everyone heard. Suddenly the fire leaned to one side, as if pushed by a force. Embers spread across the floor, but no one was hurt. The flames, instead of going out, grew even more, as if fed by something not of this world. Some students began to cry. Others simply remained motionless, unable to react. Raoul, now pale, tried to disguise terror. "This is just physics," he stammered, but no one believed anymore. Everything there defied logic. Even the sound of footsteps seemed to disappear. I looked at Lydia and saw tears running down her face, reflecting the fire's glow. She didn't seem frightened. She seemed at peace. It was then I heard a different sound. A light hum, like a distant choir coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. The air vibrated, heart beat strong, and the sensation was clear. The supernatural was present. I didn't know if it was fear, reverence, or faith, but I knew I would never forget that moment. What before was mockery had become silence, and what before was party had become an altar. The flames continued to rise, illuminating the courtyard as if they were beacons from heaven itself. That fire didn't obey nature's laws. It grew without consuming, shone without destroying. The students, before full of mockery, were now motionless, with wide eyes and held breath. It was as if time had stopped. I felt my heart beat so loudly it seemed to echo inside my head. That light sound, almost angelic, coming from all directions, now seemed to mix with the crackling flames, creating a melody no one there could explain. Lydia remained kneeling, and each word of her prayer seemed to intensify the golden glow emanating from the bonfire. Lord, show your glory. May they know you are real. Suddenly, a stronger flame rose, launching embers through the air. Ashes floated slowly, but instead of falling, remained suspended, glowing like small stars. Everyone watched in silence, astonished. Raoul backed up a few more steps, stumbling, trying to maintain control. "This is some kind of trick. There must be gasoline here," he shouted, but his voice trembled. "Look for cables. It must be something with the installation." No one moved. It was impossible to take eyes off those Bibles that, even wrapped in fire, didn't disintegrate. Pages undulated, paper darkened at edges, but content remained intact. And there was something in them, a faint light, as if words were being written again in real time by invisible hands. A student crying approached slowly. This isn't normal," she whispered. Lydia raised her gaze and said calmly, "It's not supposed to be. This is God speaking to you." No one dared laugh. It was impossible to deny what eyes saw. I myself felt skin crawl, entire body tingling, as if a force passed through me. I looked up. Clouds spun in spiral, and a breach in sky let through a soft white light which seemed to fall exactly on the bonfire. It was as if heaven itself had opened to witness what was happening. Silence became heavy. It was the kind of silence that speaks, the one that makes even the unbeliever feel there's something greater than him. Raoul tried to advance, but a sudden wind pushed him back, throwing him to the ground. He got up frightened, looked at his own hands, and without saying anything, backed away again. That's when Lydia, with firm voice, declared, "God's word never burns because it's alive." Those words fell like hammers on the hearts present. At that instant, a sound echoed in the air, a dry thunder distant even without a single storm cloud in sky. Campus lights flickered, poles trembled, and leaves spun on ground as if dancing. Fire transformed into something even more mysterious. Flames took on a golden hue, and each Bible seemed to glow from within, as if guarding its own flame. Tears began to run down my face without me noticing. I didn't know if I cried from fear or from feeling something I'd never experienced before. A real, living, powerful presence. Lydia's face was now serene, almost angelic. She raised her hands and began singing softly, a simple hymn, but loaded with power. Other students, the same ones who had mocked minutes before, began to kneel, as if something irresistibly drew them to the ground. The air was warm, vibrant, and the glow of flames seemed to pulse in rhythm with the collective heartbeat of all of us. It was at this moment I understood. That wasn't just a phenomenon. It was a sign, a reminder that even when man tries to extinguish faith, God himself takes charge of rekindling the flame. The entire courtyard was taken by deep reverence and no one dared speak. Only the Bibles glowed, intact, sacred, alive. Raoul remained motionless for a few seconds, watching the golden glow coming from flames. His face, before full of arrogance, now showed confusion and fear. He breathed rapidly, sweat running down his forehead despite the cutting cold. "This is emotional manipulation. None of this is real," he shouted, trying to recover lost authority. But his voice echoed without response. Lydia didn't look at him, just continued praying, eyes closed and hands raised. The atmosphere seemed to change every second. The air was dense, heavy, as if Earth itself held its breath. Then, Raoul took a step forward. "If this God exists, I want to see what he can do to me," he shouted, approaching the bonfire. What happened next, no one would ever forget. A violent gust of wind crossed the courtyard, so strong it lifted leaves, dust, and ashes. The flames all curved toward Raoul's side, but instead of burning him, the force pushed him back violently. He fell to his knees, completely pale, looking around, unable to understand what was happening. The crowd backed away in panic. Some screamed, others began to cry. It was at this moment one of the boys, Tadeo, Raoul's friend, fell to the ground, holding his head with both hands. His body trembled, and he murmured something between sobs. "He's here. He's here." Silence fell again, deep and supernatural. Even those who doubted felt something travel through the air like electricity. Lydia approached Tadeo and knelt beside him. She placed her hand on the boy's shoulder and said sweetly, "You're feeling God's spirit, don't be afraid." His tears fell to the ground. "I see him," he whispered, voice breaking. "I see the light." The words crossed the courtyard like an invisible sword. No one dared move. Everyone looked at Tadeo, whose face seemed bathed by a soft glow coming from the fire. Suddenly, the speakers crackled on their own again. A metallic, loud, shrill noise echoed throughout campus. Light poles flickered, and then everything plunged into complete darkness. Music, voices, city sounds, everything disappeared. The only sound was wind whispering between trees and the crying of some students. I couldn't explain what I felt. Fear and peace at the same time, as if something told me I stood before something holy. Lydia began singing again, her voice weak but constant. "You are faithful, Lord." Gradually, others began to accompany her. The courtyard, before stage of mockery, was now an improvised choir of repentance. Each note seemed to dissipate darkness. That's when I saw, at the exact point where the bonfire burned, a light began to emerge. It wasn't common fire. It was alive, pulsating, breathing. White as the sun, but didn't hurt eyes. It moved as if it had consciousness, touching each kneeling face. Raoul, still on the ground, cried silently. That man, before mocker, now trembled before what he couldn't control. Lydia approached and embraced him without saying anything. He only repeated softly, "Forgiveness, forgiveness." And as light enveloped the courtyard, everyone knew the supernatural was there, and it was no longer possible to deny. The light that emerged in the middle of the courtyard didn't come from fire, nor from extinguished lamps, nor from star reflections. It was different from everything I'd ever seen. White, intense and alive, it seemed to breathe, expanding and receding as if it had a heart. No machine sound, no artificial glare could reproduce that. It was something pure, sacred, and at the same time frightening. The air was warm but didn't burn, cold but didn't freeze. The presence was palpable. Every particle of the environment seemed to vibrate. People began kneeling one by one without anyone saying anything. Fear gave way to something greater, reverence. Lydia, still on her knees, cried, and the reflection of that light made her tears shine like diamonds. Tadeo's face was illuminated. He slowly raised his head, and his eyes reflected the same glow of light. With a voice that didn't seem his, he murmured, "He is holy. He is holy." The chorus of voices spread like a wave. Some students who before mocked now repeated the same words between sobs. "He is holy." The fire, or what remained of it, seemed to have completely transformed. There was no more smoke, only a constant golden glow, as if God had placed his own finger on that place. I felt my knees weaken and fell to the ground. My hands trembled, my heart seemed not to fit in my chest. I tried to understand, but there was no logic, only presence. The surrounding trees bent slightly with wind coming from within the courtyard itself, and the soft sound, almost like a distant choir, filled the air. Time seemed suspended. Fear, laughter, pride, everything had been silenced. Even Raoul, the leader of mockery, was now on his knees. His shoulders trembled, and the sound of his crying broke the reverent silence. Lydia approached and placed her hand on him. "God hasn't rejected you," she said in a low voice. "He came for you too." Those words, so simple, seemed to cross space and touch every heart present. The light began to pulse stronger, illuminating everything. The golden reflection covered gymnasium walls and made shadows dissipate completely. The ground vibrated slightly, as if breathing. I felt something inside me break, an invisible wall made of doubts, fear, and skepticism. And in its place, something was born that I didn't know how to name. Peace. It was as if every part of my body knew without me needing to think, God was there. Tadeo raised his face to the sky and smiled between tears. "I saw Jesus," he said, and no one doubted. Those words echoed like gentle thunder within us. Silence settled again, but it was no longer fear. It was worship. The entire courtyard was kneeling, and the light, alive and serene, hovered over everyone. The night's cold disappeared. What remained was warmth, love, and something that can't be explained with science, only with faith. It was there before the impossible that I realized. The true miracle wasn't the fire that wouldn't go out. It was the fire that ignited within each of us. The light still hovered over the courtyard, soft as if heaven itself breathed among us. The silence was absolute, but not empty. It was full of meaning, full of presence. Tears ran down everyone's faces. Eyes that before turned to mockery now were fixed on something no one could explain. Lydia remained kneeling, her voice broken by emotion. Lord, this place belongs to you. Where there is darkness, make your light shine. Her words echoed between buildings like a whisper from the Spirit itself. I looked around and saw young people with hands raised, others kneeling, some just crying in silence. That university courtyard, stage of scorn, had transformed into a temple. It was then I heard. It wasn't an external sound, but a clear, internal, deep voice. It sounded as if it came from inside and outside at the same time. I've always been here, Yvonne, even when you doubted. My entire body shuddered. I tried to understand, but it was impossible. It was as if someone had crossed my heart and lit in it a flame I didn't even know existed. I felt shame, repentance, love, and peace, all mixed in a single instant. I fell to my knees and cried without strength to contain. Forgive me, God, I stammered. I ignored you, denied you so many times. But the voice returned, sweet and firm. I never denied you. The words seemed to melt every weight I carried. Memories of the past, doubts, hidden sins, everything began to dissolve like ashes carried by wind. I raised my face and saw Lydia watching me, smiling between tears. You heard, didn't you? She asked. I just nodded. Yes, I answered, voice trembling. He spoke to me. She placed her hand on my shoulder. Then you understood. He didn't come to condemn, he came to show he still loves you. Meanwhile, the glow around seemed to pulse like the heart of something alive. Raoul, the mocker, still cried on the ground. Lydia approached and embraced him, and he, sobbing, murmured, I don't deserve forgiveness. She responded, None of us deserve it, but he gives it anyway. Those words touched something in me. I looked around and saw dozens of students kneeling. Some prayed aloud, others just let tears speak for them. The gymnasium, the courtyard, the floor covered with ashes. Everything seemed consecrated now. The sensation was indescribable. There was no fear, only peace. And then, in one last flash, the light intensified. It didn't burn, but purified. What before was fire became pure glow, and in a few seconds, slowly disappeared, like someone saying goodbye. We remained there, all with teary eyes, knowing something sacred had happened. At that instant, I understood the true miracle wasn't before our eyes, but within us. Heaven's fire had gone out, but faith's flame had just been born in every heart. Dawn arrived silently, as if the world was still in reverence for what had happened. The sun rose slowly behind Brookdale University buildings, and its first golden rays touched the courtyard, still covered with ashes. The place where hours before there had been screams and mockery was now territory of peace. I walked slowly, heart heavy and light at the same time. Ashes were scattered on the ground, but no one dared sweep them. It was as if everyone knew that ground had become sacred. The gymnasium, before party stage, was now a silent temple. The few still there looked at the space with respect and fear. Later, I saw Lydia coming toward me. In her hands, she carried a Bible. I recognized it immediately. It was one of those that had been thrown into the fire. The edges were scorched black, but the inner pages were intact, white, pure, as if they had never touched flames. She handed me the book with a serene smile. God wanted to show you his word never burns, Yvonne. I held the Bible with trembling hands, and a lump rose in my throat. I felt as if I were touching God's own heart. I don't know what to say, I murmured. You don't need to say anything, she replied. Just choose who will guide your life from now on. In the days that followed, something extraordinary happened. What began as mockery became a faith movement. Students who before mocked prayer began spontaneously gathering in the same courtyard to sing and give thanks. Teachers and staff appeared to hear the accounts. The director, moved, authorized an open service on site, and hundreds of people attended. Wind blew gently, and for an instant, it seemed that light from the previous night was glowing among us again. Lydia was by my side, praying silently, and Raul, the former skeptic, now led the group in praise. His raised hands trembled, and his choked voice said, "Lord, thank you because you forgave me." As the sound of voices spread through campus, I felt again that soft warmth in my chest. I looked at the Bible I held and opened it randomly. My eyes stopped at Hebrews 4:12. "For the word of God is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing to the division of soul and of spirit, of joints and of marrow, and discerning the thoughts and intentions of the heart." At that instant I understood. The miracle wasn't the fire that didn't burn. It was the word that resisted, alive, firm, immutable. News of what happened spread. Journalists came, curious people, pastors, and even people from other cities. But none of them could describe exactly what was felt there, because what we lived that night doesn't fit in words. It was an encounter. It was God reminding all of us He still speaks, still acts, and still transforms hearts. Today, when I walk through that courtyard, I feel the same shiver, the same peace. The ashes still mark the ground as a silent testimony. And every time I look at that Bible, still with burned edges, I remember human fire tries to destroy, but divine fire purifies. And so, the story that began with mockery ended with salvation. At Brookdale University, what was darkness became altar. And in every heart that was there, faith's flame continues lit. Because when man challenges God's word, it's the word that wins. If this story touched your heart, it's because God wanted to speak to you through it. And if you believe faith still moves mountains, I want to make you a special invitation. Subscribe now to the Voz de Fe Milagros channel. Here, each video is more than a story. It's an encounter with the supernatural, a seed that reignites hope and shows God still does miracles every day. Turn on notifications to not miss any new testimony, and share this video with someone who needs to remember God's light never goes out, even in the darkest nights. Voz de Fe Milagros, where the impossible becomes real.